But DJ D-Lite, David Morady, has revolutionized that. He's going to tell us. And by the way, first inspired by a group called the Jackson 5. When someone mentions the Jackson, you know it's our generation. Okay, James Brown. Kelly Brown. Which Brown do you know? Okay, as you ponder that.
Bobby Brown.
Okay, as long as you don't say old tile. David Morady, good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, my brother.
Happy Madaraka Day.
Happy Madaraka Day.
This man, I'm telling you, he's a legend, living legend. And by the way, you may know him as the Safaricom jazz DJ. No, he goes way, way beyond
Jazz inakuanga na DJ pia.
Oh my God, jazz. Remember Safaricom Jazz Festival?
Yeah.
Remember?
Yes.
He was the main guy. Still is. DJ D-Lite. What a delight it is. You do use 100 Mbps.
Yes, I do. Yes,
You were inspired by the Jackson 5.
I was indeed. In fact, by Michael Jackson.
Himself.
Yes, himself.
Tell us about it. Come on.
As
Go
a
on.
dancer. I used to watch the Jackson 5 back in the day.
Yeah.
ABC. And I used to see this guy dancing. So I started dancing. There's a picture of me at the age of 3, 4, dancing to Michael Jackson. And I ended up becoming a choreographer in my youth and a break dancer as well.
Back in the day of breakdancing.
In 1984, I was actually the Kenyan national breakdancing champion.
Mosquito.
Champ. I used to dance mimi kama mimi vitambi nini usiangalie hivi. This thing has a history.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, okay. My goodness.
I've thrown you off.
You completely threw. So that break, that whole thing you used to do. You were
In fact,
yeah.
that competition took place at the KICC. For you youngsters, this is history.
Go.
There's a place called the Tivoli Restaurant, and it used to rotate at the top floor of KICC.
28th floor.
The 28th floor used to go round. Used to go round and round, and the DJ who was DJing for the gig, who's the most famous VOK Nini those days?
Okay. So
Abdul Haq was the DJ.
the longest queue in
The
town.
longest queue in town was the DJ.
Katiba, do you remember Abdul Haq? Greg, do you remember Abdul Haq? Does anybody remember?
Don't torture them.
Bro, oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It was before their parents had a mess.
So he was on the decks.
He was on the decks, and it was New Year's Eve, I'll never forget, 1984 into 85.
Bro.
And I entered this competition just by chance and went to the semis and went to the finals and won. I didn't even expect to win. And there I was at the age of 15.
Yeah. Yeah. I was
I was the national champion.
What did you want to do with yourself? I mean, did you want to be a dancer? Did you know what you wanted then, or?
I was always a dancer, actually.
Yeah.
So when I went to university later, I started a dance thing going, a dance business actually, choreographing big shows that traveled. I was in the UK at the time.
Yeah.
I did some big shows that traveled around the country actually for some clothes manufacturers and stuff. My side hustles, student side hustles.
You started back then.
Back then. That's also when I started DJing. So.
What got you into DJing? What was it?
So the whole breakdancing vibe. There's a lot of there's always a lot of DJs and stuff, and I used to look at them. I say, hey, these guys are cool, man. What are they doing with their music? So I always just stand behind them and watch what they're doing. So one day, actually at university, when I just started university, I saw a friend of mine had some decks. He was playing, so I said, hey, so you just teach me this thing. And I caught it so quick, like within a week, I could DJ really well.
And we're talking vinyls, right?
Vinyls. Wait, you have to explain what vinyls
Oh,
are.
sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Vinyls, they look like CDs, but they're black and they're big. But they're not CDs.
And there was music. I mean, they spun around.
It's spin. So
They look like CDs.
that's the way to describe.
Is there a particular genre of music that you like? Because again, I was just telling Katiba here, you are associated with Safaricom Jazz Festival.
I've always loved jazz.
You've always loved jazz.
But as a DJ of 33 years, I love all music. Like, there's no particular... It's the mood.
Yeah.
So I love everything from amapiano to zilizopendwa to 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. There's no particular music. I play rock, reggae. I play... all kinds of music. So my music, like, knowledge is very vast.
And you appreciate all.
I appreciate all. Yeah, really. From Brazilian music to, I mean, literally, all kinds of music. And I've played all around the world. I've literally played in 6 continents around the world over the years.
And the thing is, you never get tired, D-Lite. You never get tired.
But that's why I'm DJ D-Lite. I'm here to delight you.
What about this stuff that the kids sing these days? What do you call the squeezing? I told you. Yo.
Yeah.
So Gengeton is actually birthed from back in the day, because I used to manage Hearthstone, Kalamashaka, Gidi Gidi Maji Maji, Necessary Noise. Those are all our artists. We discovered Nameless just down the road. We're the ones who did Mega Rider. So really, when you think of the music today, the Wairays and they really inspired Gengeton. If you think about like Kalamashaka, Tafsiri here and all that. So to me, it's just a natural progression, and it's an expression. Music's an expression of your experience. And older people might not understand Gengeton. And I say older people, like you, Jeff.
Yeah. Okay.
Because me, I'm young. Let me just tell you.
You are very.
I'm young musically, and I'm not past like 27, 28. I can still apply for youth fund. Anyway, so
My youth. Yes.
them youth them. But really, any music is an expression of your personal experience, and the problem, and why generation sometimes, parents, even the music we used to listen to, our folks used to look at us like, "Ay, he kelele," while they were listening to Jim Reeves. Children, just Google Jim Reeves.
And Charlie Pride.
And Charlie Pride and Skeeter Davis. So,
wow.
So it's just generational, and I think I really appreciate the energy of Kenyan music today. It's beautiful. It's creative. I might not agree with some of the lyrics, to be honest, of some songs, but generally the scene, and it's very varied. Kenya is one of the most in Africa. People say, "Oh, we have no Kenyan sound and everything." We don't have to have a Kenyan sound. I'm sorry. Yes, it's harder to export, but it's our expression. We are Kenyans. We are so worldly. We have a lot of influences, and that shows up in our music. We have Kenyan jazz, Kenyan rock, Kenyan R&B, Kenyan Afro fusion.
Man, Necessary Noise. How does this make you feel, bro? This is what, 20 plus years later.
So I started managing Nazizi when she was doing Mama Nataka Kuwa Famous Kakala Mashaka back then. I think I was 98. I lose track. And Wairay when Sikiza and Chuki back then.
Back then.
But even then, I used to manage a group called Into. Now, some of you might not know. This is where Atemi first started doing music professionally. A girl called Natasha, now Natasha Gatabaki then, and Atemi Oyungu formed a group in USIU called Into. This was in 98. And they did some, I don't know if you guys know what I mean. But they did a song called Shivers and a few other songs. They were the first female R&B duo in Kenya, actually, alongside this other group, our other group, Serengeti Groove.
You are the ones who took Kalamashaka to Lagos for the first time, to Nigeria.
Oh, that was something else.
Huh?
It was a big concert. That was a big international company, which I won't name, took us on this tour. And Kalamashaka, as the history books will show, were the first Kenyan group to really take, to be on stage in Nigeria, actually.
And we're talking the big stage.
This, ladies and gentlemen, was before Wizkid. This was in '99, and we performed in front of 60,000 people, and I kid you not, like I've never been on a bigger stage in my life. Like, Nigerians, they don't do small.
No, no.
Big things.
60K.
Oga stuff.
It's like Kasarani Stadium.
Plus.
By the way, you have met just about everyone literally everyone. You talk about Obama, you talk about Prince William, you talk about UB40 and others in between. But your greatest moment, bro, your greatest moment?
My greatest moment, I think, of meeting not just artists, but anyone, was meeting Miriam Makeba, Mama Africa, in 1998 in South Africa. I'd gone her manager. So the year before, I'd brought Hugh Masekela on tour in Kenya, and his manager was the same manager as Miriam Makeba, and they were doing a show with Hugh Masekela in what they were then calling Pretoria, which is called Tshwane nowadays. And he asked me to come and help pre-produce the show and work behind the scenes and help, because he liked the tour I did for Hugh Masekela. And I remember the day, so I was staying at Hugh Masekela's house for 2 weeks, and we drove. It's like half an hour away, so we drove to the practice venue. And Hugh walked in and just mentioned very casually to Miriam, "Oh, Miriam, Miriam, that's David. He's the one who brought me to Kenya," and walked away. Now, you have to understand, for those who understand who Miriam Makeba is, this is not just any musician. This is Mama Africa. This is the single greatest voice, in my view, that ever came out of Africa, period. Like, hands down, forget male, female, nothing. Greatest voice ever.
And you've just been casually introduced.
And I was just casually introduced.
And by the way, they were married for a while, weren't
They
they?
were married for a year. It's 67,
Yes,
66,
when they were in exile.
65.
When they were in exile.
They were in exile in America.
So he leaves the room.
He leaves the room.
There you are.
There I am, standing, looking at this legend. I lost my ability to speak. There were no words, honestly. Then she castigated me said, "You're the one who brought Hugh to Kenya. You didn't take me. I performed at Independence in Kenya, and you didn't take me to Kenya." And I'm standing there
My God.
in shock. And then I think she realized this guy is a bit like he's akona shida. And she just came, held out her arms, and I came, and she just held me. Like when you say Mama Africa, she's really Mama. I just sunk into her arms like a baby. I felt like I was 5 years old and I'd hurt my knee and I was running to my mother's arms. Not like a feeling of comfort.
Yes.
She just held me, and we spent the next 2 weeks together, which was
What?
the single greatest experience I think I've ever had with meeting any star, or better even than Obama. It was just the best thing ever.
And you and Bra Hugh, we all called him Bra Hugh,
Bra Hugh.
Hugh Masekela, you were very tight, huh?
Very. I mean, may he rest in peace. I was his representative for East Africa for over 20 years, up until the day he died. So he was more than just, he was one of my closest friends, actually. In spite of our age differences, he was one of the funniest people I've ever met in my, he should have actually, I always used to tell him, "Look, I don't know why you're singing and you can do stand-up." And you've met him, Jeff, I know. And remember how
on the bench you used to bring him.
Remember Norfolk?
Yes,
when he came.
correct.
And he always laughed, and he said that's how he keeps alive, is laughter. Laughter, and said, "Look, life's not that serious. Just relax and have time to laugh." That was his philosophy. His song "Grazing the Grass" in 1967 was the first #1 Billboard, it was #1 in the Billboard charts. The first African ever to have a #1 in the Billboard charts in 1967. The famous "Grazing the Grass."
Yes. Baby Cool and Dr. Jose Chameleon, Hopper Down the Road,
and Red Sun.
And Red Sun.
Those are my children. They used to walk all the way from Lavington. I remember Chameleon, he'd come for Cook Studio, and he was telling a whole crowd, they said, "You see this guy? This guy is our big brother. We used to walk, coming looking for record deals." Back in the day, a lot of people don't know that Baby Cool and Chameleon actually made it big in Kenya before they made it big in Uganda. It's their making it big in Kenya that made them big in Uganda.
Right.
And they were a trio. It was Baby Cool, Chameleon, and Red Sun. And they used to come on stage and they were fire. But they used to walk to our studio, Ted and I, just down the road from here, actually, walking distance from here. And they'd come looking for record deals, and they were raw then, they weren't ready. And we were quite honest with artists, like, "You are not ready. Go back to practice." And Red Sun talked about it in an article where he said he was so mad when we turned him away at the gate that he swore he'd make it. And he said that was the motivation, actually one of the motivations that got him to where he was actually thanking us, to where he got to. Because, mediocrity will not get you anywhere as an artist. You've got to be the best version of yourself. And a lot of artists try and rush the process. It is a process. Just to all the musicians out there trying to make it, struggling. I know it's not easy, but trust me, trust the process, have a vision, you will make it eventually. Trust me.
Susanna Owiyo and Kisumu 100.
Kisumu 100.
Huh?
We recorded that in our studio, at Audible Studios. It's produced by Ted Josiah. And I recognized that when I was touring with Giddy Giddy in Kisumu, actually for the Kisumu tour preparing, and Maji told me, hey, this place, Grand Kimwa, there's a place, there's good music, come and see. And there was Susanna playing with the guitar. She had just learned how to play the guitar, and I watched her for the next 4 hours. And I said, look, you need to come down to our studio and record something, because your music is amazing. And that's how Kisumu 100 was recorded.
Closing thoughts, brother. Closing thoughts before we close with Kisumu 100. What do you say? What do you tell people out there? A lot of people listening and a lot of people calling you babe. All of a sudden, you're the babe.
First of all, thank you for that Madaraka Day gift. I think I'd like to say something very briefly about mental health. We're going through a very rough time, irrespective of whatever the circumstances. And I think we need, as a nation, to recognize that mental health challenges are real and not to be dismissed, and a lot of people are suffering worldwide. So look up your brother, your sister, your friend, check in on your friends, check in on your family consistently, because sometimes that's all somebody needs, a phone call. Look out for each other. Happy Madaraka Day.